Alrighty, well, I've hit the recording button, and I guess we're good for a show. Everything seems to be in order. And everything starts with Shenmue the Machine, episode 57, the solo show that I didn't know I'd be doing. Starts now.
For me, nature is one of the neatest things on this planet. That's why Rodney and I started Nature Walk, because we want everyone to know how neat nature is, instead of just me and Rodney knowing it. Without a doubt, coming out into nature is one of the neatest things there is to do. But you also have to be careful. That's why I always try to pack a gun. It's just a little bit, pack some heat. Now this isn't much of a big boy. I don't want to kill the animal, but I do want to warn it and say, hey, I think you're pretty neat, but I respect your distance. There's bears out here, there's mountain cougars, and a biting goat. How neat is that? That's pretty neat.
You're listening to a Fly Science Productions podcast. Welcome to Stream the Machine.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Stream the Machine, episode 57. Trying to get my energy up, trying to go, because I totally forgot. Oh, I don't even have any music playing. Start jazz. Okay, we're good. I totally forgot that Tony would not be here for today's show. Totally forgot. And so here I am. If you're listening in and you're like, well, I hate solo shows, now would be the time to tune out, because that's what this is going to be. And what's even worse is I made the notes for the show as if I were going to discuss them all with Tony. So, I don't know. I don't know how long today's show is going to be. Today is a mystery for everybody. Going to go through some news here, and I guess that's about it. You know what? Maybe I'll do some Would You Rathers. I'll do some Would You Rathers with myself. So here, as always with the solo shows, because we don't get to do these very often, if you're tuning in live, I will answer questions. If you message me on Facebook, or, you know what, let's pull up Google Chat as well, although I doubt anyone's actually going to message me through there. If you're listening and you anything, a question about a game or a movie, or how do you make the show, how do you do this, just send it. Send the question, and I will answer it as best I can, at least. And we'll go ahead and intersperse any kind of dialogue like that through the show. You can also chime in on the Would You Rathers later if you'd like. Well, I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get rolling. All right. Well, tomorrow's Father's Day, as far as I understand it. So happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day to my father, because I may not remember to say it tomorrow. Go do cool things with your father, I guess. They deserve it. The most important news, probably now that I'm going to announce during the show, and this will break everybody's heart, Ross Bays will no longer be a part of Stream the Machine. It is with heavy heart that I bring this news to you. He notified us earlier this week that he had a job opportunity for being a business partner in an organization that he was really excited and really wanted to take the opportunity with. Unfortunately, since he already does work a full-time job during the week, that leaves only his weekend available to commit to this job. So he informed us this week that unfortunately he will not be able to continue doing the show. Now, he will always be welcome to come on as a guest anytime that he wants, provided that we have the time and we've worked it all out. And in fact, we're always going to have time for Ross. So he will be able to come back and chill and talk about whatever he wants to whenever he wants to. But unfortunately, at this point, we will be saying goodbye to the Karmified segment, and I'm not really sure what we'll be doing instead of it. I talked to some people at work about it, and I was like, well, what do I do? You know, Karmified was such a huge part of the show. It was really, I mean, Ross, even though, you know, the show is hosted sort of by Tony and myself, Ross is really the sort of the third unmentioned co-host, you know, and no show really feels all that right without him, but we'll obviously have to find a way to move on. I was trying to entertain new guest segment ideas, whether or not there was anybody that had been listening to the show or that I knew of that would be interested in maybe trying to fill a Saturday slot in their mornings, but I'm not sure, because you can't really fill Ross's segment, so who knows if we'll actually be doing that at all or not. A friend of mine also said that he thought our show at times gets kind of rushed with our news and the Would You Rathers and everything, and we always try to make time to actually get Ross. But now that Ross is gone, that leaves us time to do the beginning portions of our show and not have to worry about time. So whether or not we'll just continue the show without a guest segment so we can fit everything in without making it feel rushed, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. That was something I was going to discuss with Tony today, but then I forgot. Tony told me a week ago. He told me. He really did. He updated me. He told me, I'm pretty sure, right after the show. You guys probably were listening in to the after show, the post show, as we call it in the business. And he said, I will be gone next week, because I'm going down to Florida, and I'm pretty sure he said he'd also be gone next Saturday. So, I don't know if I'm going to do a show next Saturday. I might take the time to relax, try to figure out what I'm going to do with the format, and figure out what to do there. Because honestly, had I remembered that we didn't have Tony today, I probably would have just canceled the show. That way I could, because I wasn't ready to do a solo show. At least like I hadn't written the solo show. And with Ross taking off and doing his own thing, I just kind of would have liked to just sleep in, just relax, play a game. I could be laying in bed right now, but I'm not. I'm here. I'm here to do a show. And in fact, I woke up. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock. It was 9:30 or so that I was sat down, finished the show, and I was like, boom. All right, cool. I've got about an hour. Let's try and play some video games. So I'm playing a game, and I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, all right, well, it's getting close to 10:30. I'll just go ahead and continue playing. I'll wait for Tony to say something, and then we'll be good. Then we'll get the show on the road, right? So I look, and it's 10:27, and I'm like, oh, crap. Where's Tony at? I guess, I'll go ahead and message him and see what he's up to. Maybe he's slept in. Maybe I'll, I don't know. And so I messaged him. I say, hey, man, you up? He's like, yeah, but I'm on the way to Florida. I'm like, oh, crap. Now I remember. So, rather than last minute cancel everything, I decided I'd go ahead and go with the show, even though I don't have great content written for it. I mean, this is all good discussion pieces for Tony and I. But unfortunately, some of this will not be news as of 2 weeks from now. So, I'm going to go ahead and get some of it out of the way. We'll call it a day. We'll just have a basic little show today. I don't know if you heard me complaining before the show. I have a blisteringly hot cup of coffee. Oh, can you barely? Nope, can't see it. I'll lift it up for a few seconds. Oh gosh, that's way too hot. I'm putting it down. Ouch. Super hot coffee. And why, you might ask, is that? Well, it's because it doesn't have any sugar in it. I have decided to make a switch to drinking coffee with sugar to just drinking it straight black. What may have sparked this, you might ask? Well, two things. Firstly, I've always heard that drinking coffee without... Well, and it's common knowledge. Drinking coffee without sugar is healthier from a calorie standpoint and from a you're not putting sugar in your body standpoint, okay? Because I drink it with lots of sugar. It's not just a little bit of sugar. I drink it with lots of sugar, usually. And it's great. I love the taste of it, but it never really perks me up that much, right? Well, I read that putting creamer and putting sugar and putting all these other things in the coffee actually will dilute the effect that the caffeine's supposed to have. And I thought to myself, well, I wonder if just drinking it normal straight would, as bitter and kind of gross as it is, would it be okay to do that And what I start feeling the effects of the caffeine more, because usually I don't. Usually caffeine doesn't do much for me. An update on that? No, it doesn't really do a whole lot more. It's sometimes in the last week or so, it's felt like the caffeine may have contributed a little bit more, but it's still a little negligible, which I think is probably an unfortunate chemistry of my body that just doesn't want to work with the caffeine the way you would expect it. But I was watching Twin Peaks, and I finished it last Sunday, by the way, and watching Twin Peaks and playing this game called Deadly Premonition that is actually very similar to Twin Peaks and that whole kind of detective vibe, and what do I see but them drinking black coffee all the time? And I'm like, man, that is so badass that they're just, like, that's their thing, right? Is I gotta get myself a good cup of black coffee. And so I thought, with the whole trying to... I needed something to sort of sub in to my diet, okay? Because after the tooth thing happened, after I got my teeth drilled on, I kind of started to let the diet slip a little bit. And I didn't put any on any more weight, but I wasn't really losing it either. And so after sort of making some headway on losing weight, and I just, so this is kind of my way to ease back in, okay? Instead of trying to snack as much as I have been, I'm going to try and fit coffee back into sort of my routine, okay? Because coffee doesn't taste that good to me, okay? Just plain black coffee does not taste that great. So it kind of puts a bitter taste in your mouth and doesn't really make me want to drink or eat much else. It's only a cup of coffee. I don't know what, I guess a cup size, is like 17 to 20 calories, so it's really low. It's less than an egg. An egg is 70 calories, and that's if you eat it with the yolk. If you eat it with the whites, it's much less. Just the whites, it's much less than that. But that's what I'm doing. Now, here's the thing. The coffee now, however, stays super hot because the sugar in there is not in there to sort of cool it down, or at least to like change the chemistry to lower the freaking, I don't know. But it's super hot black coffee now. So I don't know. Well, maybe in 20 minutes, if the show's still going on, I'll be able to sip from this coffee. Tastes horrible. I hate it. I've been told that it really depends on the bean, and something like Folgers is not going to be great if you're just looking to drink straight black coffee, and Folgers is what we have. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go, but that's how it's going right now. And I don't like the taste, but I'm forcing myself to drink it. I'm thinking it's kind of treating it like beer, because beer's gross. I don't like beer, but over time it's kind of gotten a little bit better. So I'm hoping that after maybe a couple weeks of drinking straight black coffee, maybe it will get a little more manageable. So the coffee is a new change this week. Also, another change. I was offered I don't know if promotion is the term, sort of an unofficial promotion, I guess, at work. I'm going to call it a promotion because it makes me sound better, makes me feel better about myself. It is another opportunity at another position at the place that I work. It is working in a sort of the purchasing department, which will deal with the accounts and all that kind of stuff. And right now I work in inventory, which is fun. It's liberating and it's free, but it's not data entry, which is what I'm good at. And the new job will pay a little bit better. It actually has a much better chances for what's the word? I don't know, upward mobility, I guess. I'm kind of peaked where I'm at. Unless my boss dies and I have to inherit his throne, I will not be getting any promotions in inventory. Okay, I'm done. I've hit the peak. Okay, now that's not to say I wouldn't get, not to say that I wouldn't get raises, but I will not really move much further. So at least with this new position that I'm being offered, I've got a chance to move into other positions or take that position and make it grow. The low base pay is also higher than what I'm currently getting, so that means my chances for raises are going to be greater. More pay just in general. So, and I'll be doing data entry, which is what I'm good and what I like to do. So that's cool. Monday starts the sort of training for it to make sure that it's something that I want to do. They've given me the option, basically said, well, we'll let you try it out and see what you think, and if you don't like it, then you let us know, and nothing happens. You stay at your current position, and if you do like it, then we'll make the switch, and you can do all the training you can train the new people basically to replace you, and that's about it. So we'll see how that goes. That starts on Monday. And I guess by the time we actually have the next show, which will probably be 2 weeks from now. Well, there'll be more information on it, and perhaps I will have already worked with that job a little bit more. Which one of these other bullet points? Gotta figure out which one now. I guess we'll briefly talk about E3. I had some technology jokes to make, but talking about it by myself is not going to be funny. E3 just ended, and if you're asking what E3 is, that's the Electronic Entertainment Expo, I believe, is what it stands for. It's a huge video gaming event that happens every year around this time period. Lasts for a week. Developers, publishers, freaking anybody else comes out and names their biggest things, whether it's a game, whether it's a new system, whether it's new features for a current system. It's just everything gaming usually just gets announced, and it's all new stuff, and it's sort of exciting. It's where you get to learn about new games coming out, and you just get to see trailers for games you already knew about but haven't seen these new trailers yet, and it's really cool stuff. But that just ended. Had some really cool things announced there. It was kind of exciting. A lot of people excited for a Final Fantasy VII remake. More Metal Gear Solid stuff, which is always good. Just a lot of cool stuff, as always. That got announced there. They're doing an HD, not an HD, a remaster of one of my favorite games, Darksiders 2, and that will be coming out on PS4 later this year. It's the funny story with Darksiders. It's kind of unfortunate, and this leads into our sort of a tie into our first news article here. Is that Darksiders was done by a company named THQ, which is one of my favorites, and unfortunately they went under a couple years. 2012, they went bankrupt and they had to sell off all their assets. They had done Darksiders 1 and then Darksiders 2. It was about, sort of a short synopsis, was about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. They're only supposed to come down the earth when the seven seals have been broken. And when the seals are broken, they come down and they basically act as like a policing force between angels and demons. Well, in the first game, the horseman for war, gets summoned, but then finds out that the seven seals had not been broken. 6 of them had been. When he gets down there, it's like a breach of conduct. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to interfere, blah, blah, blah. Finds out that he was set up, and so the whole game is about him trying to figure out who set him up, who summoned him to Earth when he wasn't supposed to come, because you're not supposed to be able to come to Earth if the seals hadn't been broken. So that goes on. And then the second game, you play as Death. He tries to exonerate his brother War by taking some evidence that he has and taking it to the Council, which is the group that sort of imprisoned War. Really cool series, really cool idea about the apocalypse, and really interesting interpretation, but THQ went bankrupt after the second game, and so it didn't continue. New studio picked it up at the auction. The studio no one had really ever heard of, and so it kind of was a question of whether or not they'd ever actually continue the series, because there should be at least 4 games, one for each of the horsemen. And it was a great series, and 2 was really great, and it just was like, oh crap, well, the series is over, I guess we're done. Well, they're making a remaster of the second one and releasing it for PS4, and I assume probably PC when that comes out, which is interesting news, because it means that they will be they're putting resources and money into at least into bringing that new title, or the remaster of the second title, to PS4. That generally means that they're interested in sort of putting more money, which means possibly will we get a third game? Hopefully, that's all I can hope for. But it will be exciting to see what where that leads. That brings us into our first news segment, but I'll go ahead and play a bumper for that, because we have one.
404 error, page not found.
Excuse me. So the first article, which is related to games being revived, especially for third in the series, Shenmue 3 smashes the Guinness World Record for the fastest funded video game of all time. Now, what is Shenmue 3, you might be asking? Well, Shenmue was a series back in the day that was sort of before its time, with open world gameplay and this sort of a variety of things that you could do in this world that it had set up, I believe in Japan. And I don't know much about it because I actually haven't played it, or I've only played very little of it. But you play as this character, Ryu, whose father is murdered. And so you're tasked with trying to find out who murdered your father. And you play through these 2 games, and at the end of Shenmue 2, there's this huge cliffhanger, right? And then the series was never continued. Never went on further. It's been 14 years since the last Shenmue game. And lo and behold, this E3, they announced that Shenmue 3 would be kickstarted, meaning people could go and pay money to actually hit the funding. The funding goal was $2 million, and they hit that goal fairly quickly. And like I said, they quick enough to make a world record. So the newly announced Shenmue 3 now holds the Guinness World Record for the fastest video game to raise $1 million in contribution on a crowdfunding platform. The role-playing game raised $1 million in 1 hour and 42 minutes, previously breaking the record of 6 hours. So by 5 hours, they beat that. Shenmue 3 is now the second fastest Kickstarter overall. Let's see. Now the second fastest Kickstarter project overall. So second overall. First in the video games, though. Second overall to the Pebble Watch, which is a 46-minute record of raising $1 million, and that was just in February. This article appears to be a little bit old because they also hit 2 million in 7 hours, and I believe that was another record that they broke. It is over $3 million donations now. And the way Kickstarter works, that's all donations. That's all from people. Like from me, I know a buddy at work who funded it. $3 million that a collective amount of however many people. Let's take a look. Let's look. Shenmue Kickstarter. And we'll divide it and figure out what the average amount per person donated is being right now. Okay, so we got 3.5 million almost. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Calculator is good work for my impending job. Let's see. 3500000 divided by 42,777, so 42,000 backers. So that's on average $81 per person. That's a lot of money. Considering that the lowest amount you can donate is $5. So the lowest is $5, then it goes to a $30 package and a $60 package. So on average, people are donating more than the lowest 3 packages that you can donate, which means some people have donated in the hundreds. And it's cool to see people sort of that excited. I mean, heck, I'd do it for Darksiders. I do it for probably a couple different games, but waiting 14 years and never knowing where your series was going to go, and then now these fans have that vindication, and it's cool to see that. As much as I can't sort of sympathize and feel exactly what they're feeling because I haven't played Shenmue, I can at least appreciate it because there are games I know that I would want to play, or that I want to continue, like Darksiders, that can't currently. So it's definitely really cool to see that. Speaking of records, Jurassic World topples the Avengers. So not only did Jurassic World have the biggest global opening of all time, the film has now gone on to secure the title of biggest debut weekend ever at the U.S. box office, according to Variety. The numbers are still being added, but the blockbuster so this was earlier this week, I'm sure they've all been added by now, has managed a total of about $209 million, dethroning The Avengers, which previously held the record at $207 million. Oops, article's getting goofy here. Originally, Universal had anticipated the dinosaur adventure flick would bring in about $204 million, but the film enjoyed a much stronger Sunday than expected. Box office analysts say that it may have been the buzz surrounding Jurassic World's monster opening that inspired audiences to hit the theaters. However, Chris Pratt's star power from last year's Guardians of the Galaxy couldn't have hurt. Jurassic World soared from the start when experts pegged the film's opening to smash the $100 million barrier, which it did, before going on to score an impressive $204 million. This was the third film this year to make the $100 million mark, following The Avengers: Age of Ultron and Furious 7. Still have not seen it. I personally don't have much interest in it, but I've heard very great things about it. Rachel loved it. think my buddy Phil at work saw it, and he also is a huge fan. So cool. Go see Jurassic World. It is reviewing very well and is the highest grossing highest debut weekend gross of all time for film, which is crazy. You know what? I'm just going to read the news here, and then I think I'm going to bail. I don't want to keep the show running too long, and I can't drink my coffee because it's too hot. I'm running out of steam. I didn't prepare for today. So I'm just going to read these other articles, and I'll be done. I apologize for those who woke up to tune in to find out that it was going to be a half show today. That is totally my fault. Tony told me that he wasn't going to be here, and then I forgot. So that is totally blame on me. Let's go to another news then.
This just in other news.
We do have a good song though to end out the show. And speaking of which, if you're tuning in, the opening clip, look up Nature on YouTube. Neature. Is a clip from a guy who does sort of a parody of nature walks and films it, and obviously comedic, but really really funny stuff. So he's got a couple different episodes, and they're all a couple minutes long. They're not very long at all. So just go check it out. It's really good stuff for the sort of weird humor that he brings to the table. Headline confuses Chicago Bears and the Blackhawks. The Korea Times is inspiring jokes from sports fans across the internet, with the headline saying that the football team, the Chicago Bears, won hockey's Stanley Cup. A photo of the North Korean... not the North Korea, it just says Korea. Photo of the Korea Times sports page from Wednesday features a photo of the victorious Chicago Blackhawks posing at the Stanley Cup after defeating Tampa Bay, but the headline accompanying the photo article reads, Chicago Bears clinched the Stanley Cup. Reddit users were quick to find humor in the situation. Here's some quotes. Again, these would have been funnier with Tony here. The Korea Times gaffe was reminiscent of a recent East Oregonian headline. Is that how you say Oregon? Oregonian? Hailing Oakland Athletics ambidextrous relief. Oh, you know what? We almost had that on the show. Why did we not have that on the show? There's an article about an amphibious pitcher, and they meant to say ambidextrous. I remember looking at that article. I wonder why we never read that, because I don't actually remember reading it on the show. Would have had some interesting commentary for Tony. But there we go. Good job, Korea. Whichever one you may be, south or north. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news. Supposedly North Korea found a cure for AIDS and Ebola, some other crazy things that I'm sure they really didn't find a cure for. How crazy would it be if they actually did, though? Our worst enemies becoming our best friends. Heinz apologizes for ketchup bottle with the QR code tied to a porn site. A German man who tested out the QR code on a bottle of Heinz ketchup offering a defunct promotion, says that the code now leads to a porn site. So if you don't know what a QR code is, it's that square-looking barcode, white and black thing that you can sort of like take a picture of it or use an app on your phone to read it, and it's got data sort of like lined up in the code, as they say, and it sends you to a website. So apparently one on the ketchup bottle was sending people to a porn site. Daniel Carell wrote to the ketchup firm on Facebook saying that Heinz hot ketchup is probably not for minors after he scanned the QR code on the bottle, expecting to be taken to a label design contest website, and instead was taken to a porn site. Carell said he tried the code with several phones and tried manually entering the web address, but he received the same result each time. Heinz apologized to Carell, saying that the company's ownership of the website expired after the 2012-2014 contest came to a close. Even if the bottle was a leftover, it's still in lots of households, Carell said in a comment. It's incomprehensible that you didn't reserve the domain for 1 or 2 years. The ketchup company offered Carell a custom-designed bottle free of charge by way of compensation, said that it would gladly accept suggestions for the implementation of future campaigns. German news site Bild said Crow was also offered a free membership by the porn site that took over the domain. That guy lucked out. What a way to make money, too. Because, of course, they probably picked it up because they figured, well, people would be going here because of the QR codes, right? So they get more traffic. And on top of that, if Heinz doesn't want to tarnish their name, I'm sure they would have thought, well, maybe they'll offer us money to buy their domain back. Kind of ingenious, I guess. Congratulations to those guys for pulling one over on the Heinz dudes. That's it. I'll do one Would You Rather. I'll do one, we'll figure out. Let me see. There was one I actually kind of thought was interesting here. Let me make sure. Nope. I'm gonna save these because these are good Tony ones, I think. Yeah. Damn it. I'm frustrated. Would have written a better show today. Because, I brought it up before on the show. There's a way to do it, right? There's a way. I can't write a show for Tony and then have Ross show up and of a show. It's supposed to be a decent show, but it's not going to be a great show because I write everything for the time and for the sort of the setting. And so even if today ends up being okay, it's still not going to jive well with me because I didn't prepare for this. I didn't have a contingency plan for a solo show. And it's just going to eat away at me. Quick comment on Howard Stern, someone that I don't really pay attention to or watch or anything like that. I was trying to find some clips for this morning and came across a couple clips from his show. Kind of an entertaining guy. I've never really been into his sort of shock jock thing. But it was a few things I saw was entertaining. He had Arnold Schwarzenegger on one that was kind of fun to watch. So I don't know. It kind of interested me. I thought maybe if they put Stern's show on like a podcast or something, which I'm sure they do, that maybe it'd be interested in checking out, especially with the new job sitting in an office. Definitely be listening to podcasts more often than music. So I don't know. Might give him a shot, but that's it. We're gonna wrap up the show. We're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna post it and enjoy trying to play some video games or something in turn. It's been 40 minutes since the show started. We'll keep it nice and short today. So cut the jazz. If you want to help out with the show, if you listened today and you thought, well, today wasn't great, but shows with Tony are good, and you can tell your friends about it. Share the social media posts, whether it's on Twitter or on Facebook. Anything helps. If you see a post that we post about a show going up or a video show going live, share it. Put a little blurb. Say, hey, it's my buddy's show. Like it, and send us out there. Help spread the word. If you want to sponsor a segment, you can find out more on our website, which is streamthemachine.com. You can support us on our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/streamthemachine. You can email in music. Today we've got some good stuff. We've only got one song, unfortunately, but email in your music. If you know anybody that does music, go ahead and tell them, hey, I know where I can get your music to play for some people. I'll be interested in having it on the show. You can follow me on Twitter if you want at Redefined Jack. I don't really post. You can follow Tony, who posts and is also entertaining, at Tony DePalma51. You can follow the show if you want to be updated on when the video show goes live. You can't follow it at Tony DePalma. Sorry. You can follow it at STM Podcast. If you want to find out more about anything about the show or listen to past episodes or anything like that, streamthemachine.com is where you can find all that information. It says here I'm supposed to thank Tony for being an awesome co-host. I'm not doing that today. Thanks for not being here, Tony. No, I'm kidding. Tony's a great man. Next Saturday. Nope, not going to happen next Saturday. Making it official. No show next Saturday. I want to relax. Going to relax. Tony won't be back. I guess I'll update in the middle of the week if I find for some reason that he will be back, but I don't think he is. And no Ross, so that's it. Today was your only solo show that you get for the month of June. All right, well, let's play this out. This is Annalisa Tornfelt with the song Adore. It's a single, sort of a country folky kind of song. It's good stuff. Good, relaxing way to sort of start your afternoon early. It's like I'm letting you guys out of class early. So enjoy it, thank me, and come back in 2 weeks for Stream the Machine. Episode, 59? 58, not even. We'll be back then with more information and more things to talk about, more news and more comedy. Thank you for tuning in today. Stream the Machine. Have a good weekend.
Hey, I bought you some chips.